How you doing, John? How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm good.
Wow. What events we've had recently?
What? What?
I said, what are all these events we've had recently? It's fucking
Oh no!
crazy.
Honestly. Well, while we're going on in London this weekend, I were in Bath. Bath.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Joseph and Bobby Blur came down. Their missuses. He brought we're not live or anything, are we?
Now.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. We are live.
Yeah.
All right, right. Anyway, so we had a good time in Bath. But yeah, so there were quite a few. We were so met up with some DFLA lads from Cardiff
Yeah.
who I've met before, and one of them, right. The first week of protests in London, he's managed to get onto a lefty stage, like on the lefty stage, and he says, listen, whether we disagree or not, we all agree that they need to go. And he pointed at the government and all
Yeah.
that lot. And then everyone applauded, all lefties and that. Then someone got up and then slagged him off and said he was like an EDLer or something like that. Couldn't make it up, man, honestly.
What do you reckon of the...
Jim's here with us.
What do you reckon... I'm going over to D Live with my channel and fuck anyone that doesn't want to follow. Yeah, D Live is, I think it's the way forward. I've had 2 of my videos took down in the last 2 days. So I know what you mean, England, mate. It's a fucking nightmare. How do you feel?
Porky, Paul, Cam, Chris, hello everyone. Jim Edwards is with me as well.
Jim, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, you can keep the camera off.
This
top-down haircut's not doing anyone any favours. No one wants to see that.
What I mean?
You see, it's nice having hair like mine. I just have to shave it off and that's it. It's done.
Yeah, well, I don't look good. I just look ill like that.
I just want to show you this cap. When we was on our way to the EDL 2018, 2 years ago, EDL Wellington, first EDL group, Joel had 2 caps, and this was one of them that I had. So it's iconic, this cap. Really is iconic.
I had a MAGA hat somewhere, but someone took it because they wanted to wear 2 caps at the same time.
Oh, yeah. So, and at one time, I did have 2 caps on at the same time. In London, in the lefties, swapping it between a MAGA and a Union Jack hat.
Okay.
I also had a fascist hat, but someone's taken that as well.
Jez Goddard.
What do you think of these rumours? We're talking about the Empire and wanting to get it back to, stuff when you look on the title. But what do you think of Tommy joining Black Lives Matter?
This is the first I've heard about you. You have to fill me in. I know we've not heard much from him in the last couple of days.
All right, then I'll read you out a tweet. The tweet says, let me just find this.
Tommy Robinson joining Black Lives Matter, is that?
Yeah. So
wow.
Levi Marcus Benjamin, the guy that carried the white guy out of the demonstration, he said, and I quote this, spoke to Tommy Robinson and basically interested in helping me with a case to get some justice that will benefit all our kids, of all colours. Listen to one post that Tommy Robinson put out last night before saying the media had changed his meaning. Media is dangerous. Malcolm X warned you over 50 years ago. He's saying basically that he wants to join forces with the core of the Black Lives Matter to take down the establishment. Now, for me, considering the acts and it's almost prescribed as a terrorist organisation, how he could sort of even work with any of them after what they've been doing over the last couple of weeks in the name of Black Lives Matter is absolutely frightening.
Well, Rita went to Bolton the other day and it was getting a bit hairy, and some girl said that she wants Rita to say Black Lives Matter, and Rita wouldn't. Said, "Oh, Rita's got every colour under the sun in her family." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she said all, and nearly got attacked. And that's off somebody in Bolton. That's not no one in London. No fancy person in London. Nobody down at somebody in Bolton.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think I have a bit of a different, maybe I have a bit of a different perspective on it. I think I have, right, I've toyed with the idea of the fact that, we need to convince, well, before the weekend, where it became quite apparent that there was no talking to anyone.
Yeah.
I had thought that there was a chance of persuading some of the black nationalists in Black Lives Matter to call out the Antifa element, the socialist element within their movement. So I do have some empathy with black nationalists because, like I do with white nationalists, obviously the way they behave in the black nationalists is, I'm completely opposed to what they're doing and behaving, but I have some empathy what they're doing. Now, if it was a case, if someone was saying, "Oh, we need to join forces or work together," I think it is pragmatic at this point. I think we've just seen plenty of evidence. It's impractical at this point because we're just seeing the evidence that there's no real. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to reason with them, especially the ones on the street, the violent ones. But I can understand why people might, for just purely pragmatic reasons, want to try and persuade them into a different way.
Do you not though? So, do you not think that all the rhetoric is white man bad, kill the white man? And this is from Black Lives Matter. These are from their founding figures. Their Black Lives Matter manual says that the way to kill the white man is outbreed them and kill them. You've got certain black activists themselves in their own right, like Big Bro, Sarah Garvey, Jedi, and all these, saying they do not agree with Black Lives Matter at all. They see through the bullshit. They're the instigators in this, and they're quite happily to have Antifa to go around and put Black Lives Matter on the wall and watch it. Now, I listen to I've tried to get him on the show and he won't come on the show. And there's a guy put a message out saying that we're getting the blame. The true Black Lives Matter movement is getting the blame for Antifa joining the ranks and spray painting and causing mischief. And I put, okay, that could be true. So I made a statement. I said, so what you're saying is that Antifa and these white kids and these white people are going around spraying. You've allowed them in front of you, because he said he watched them do it. He said, so you're for the black nationalist movement. So you want to make your presence credible, and you want to make it, mainstream and understand there's a struggle. So you've allowed a white person in front of you to spray Black Lives Matter on a wall and on the cenotaph. You've allowed them to do that, and you watch them. And because it's not you doing it, you've let them do it. So did you not say, don't do that in my name? Or did you just let them do it in your name? And he says, what do you mean? I says, well, did you say to him, don't do it? Because if you stopped him and said, you ain't fucking doing that because we will get the blame for it and make us look bad, then that would be, don't do it in my name. But are you saying then you allowed them to do it in your name by letting this person do it? I'm sorry, but this movement is full of shit. They're letting them do it. There's no point crying after it, saying, "Oh, actually, we didn't do that. It was the Antifa. It was white people actually." But you let them do it in your name.
Yeah. This like everything. There's two sides to it, and part of me thinks that these middle-class white kids that want a bit more money from the government jumping on this black ethnic issue, and using it for more economic purposes. But then on the other hand, I think, well, they're also using and hiding behind those kids, and letting them do things that they want to do. See, this is the problem. I mean, it's quite clearly the fact that Antifa have joined forces with the anti-fascists have joined forces with the Black Lives Matter movement proves that it is a very fascist element, because it's got that economic element. It's not just black nationalism.
The Black Lives Matter are socialists. That's what they want in their thing. They want to be socialists, so it's good for the left to be all over them, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is the thing with fascism in general. I mean, people say that it clearly has got this economic left-wing element to it, but also a nationalistic element to it. And fascism has always been hard to pin down. It's different for every country. It's different for every movement. But yeah, the fact that it's got this left-wing socialist element to it does prove that it's fascist at its core, and it's quite heavily left. It's got heavy left-wing fascism to it. Even though that the black nationalism is right-wing, but yeah, it's like I say, there are different forms of fascism. British fascism didn't have much of a left-wing economic element to it, but this clearly has, and I think that's what makes it so dangerous to the indigenous people of Britain. It's
okay then. So well, let's think of it this way then. If they agree that the movement is fragmented and it's going in the wrong direction, there's so many leading people saying they don't agree with it, no one should be taking part of it or anything, do you not think then, instead of appeasing it to join under that banner, they should join us under our banner? And that would collapse the Black Lives Matter in its entirety, because you would see people moving over, because then it would be not in our name. You can't be attacking police. You can't be attacking cenotaphs and stabbing people and stuff like that in the name of Black Lives Matter. I don't see any Black Lives Matter coming out saying, well, don't do that in ours. We have to do it all the time. We have to say, look, these thugs that were in there, they wasn't anything to do with us. They were drinking, they were pissed. We as a movement had nothing to do with that. We apologise on their behalf. It wasn't associated with us. We have to do it at every demonstration. Have you seen any leaders coming out and saying, we do not accept these Antifa, or allegedly Antifa, spraying Black Lives Matter in our names? We did not condone the attacks on these white people and gang related, where you've got 15-16 people all piling in on one person. We do not condone any of this. This isn't what we're about. We're about civil rights, and this is it. So why aren't you seeing it?
I think the reason
where they say, where they say silence is what do they call it? Silence is guilty, or silence is an accomplice. Well, that goes for them as well. So this crap they keep pushing out is silence is guilty. Well, same as you then, because you're not coming out and saying this wasn't you. So in your silence, you're condoning it as well.
This guy has actually done it, because I've seen the video with him talking, this Levi Marcus Benjamin. So it's not just words of a tweet. I've seen that video earlier on. I'm just looking for it then. So he has actually said that. But anyway, like I was saying to Jim a minute ago, it's scary, because like there's so many things attacking us like right now, and putting like Britain down. It is a world effort, concentrated effort to put down the Western, especially Britain. That's how it seemed to me.
We're basically in the fall. We're still in the fall of the British Empire. I mean, it doesn't seem like that, because it's fairly slow moving. Well, it's picking up pace now, but yeah, we're definitely seeing like the symptoms of a dying empire, falling empire, and we're going to have to evolve to survive. I think, coming back to your original question there, Steve, I think maybe the reason why we're not seeing as much denunciation from Black Lives Matter activists is because they don't have to. Perhaps maybe part of the reason that we do it so much, I mean, we don't actually have to, but many of our leaders and speakers feel like we need to, and maybe that's because the media is so heavily against us and we're on the back foot. The fact that they're not doing it is because they are smelling blood in the water. They feel like they've got the upper hand and they don't need to apologise for anything. So they're just completely on the offensive. They're taking advantage of the momentum that they have. And yeah, but they're also, it's not, I think, so I don't know if you saw Edward Dutton's video on Black Lives Matter and religious revivalism in general. He outlined it pretty well that it's not very rational at the moment because of the conditions that this movement has developed in, with the lockdown and everything and the stress that people are put under, and they're going through a bit of a negative religious revival, and part of that is the fact that it's not as rational. They're not going to be as coherent and as self-aware, and so I think the core of it is that they don't feel like they have to apologize. They don't feel like they're in a position where where they have to express any kind of weakness. They've got this momentum where they can just go full steam ahead because they're not actually getting much pushback, particularly from the media. The media's on their side, so they're just taking advantage of it.
Just let me get in. It was lovely to meet Jackie over the weekend. Jackie, big respect there, girl. Big respect. And good evening to the chat as well. Chris Thorne. But yeah, so honestly, great weekend. Well, I did have a good weekend and all that, but like, we met up with some DFLA lads from Cardiff, and one of them was arrested for 9 hours in London. Nothing to do with violence or anything like that. And a few of them went down. I was lucky to meet Rick Scott as well. But yeah, I've had an interesting weekend. And
Break.
It's scary what's going on. It is. It's really scary. Everything seems to be like getting on top of us, and stuff like that. And there's loads of incidents of like people wanting things in England removed because it says black. And I shit you not. One of the ones that comes to mind straight away is MP woman in Wolverhampton wanting the Black Country flag took down because she felt it was offensive and to do with slavery, when the Black Country is just to do with iron smelting and coal, and that's why it has its name, the Black. These little things. So this woman will be on it again. She'll be coming on.
The Black Country, part of the Black Country, the way it gets its flag and its heritage is the fact that the coal miners, when they were done, they used to come out and they used to have black on their face because it was cold, because it was the coal dust. And so it was
all the trucks and that, they were all black.
Yeah, when the miners come out, it's black coal, isn't it? So obviously when you come out there, it's literally, you've got black all over your face. And so it was almost formed like that in a sense as well, because the Black Country, it was about that.
So there's going to be more of this streets, honestly. There's going to be more of these little tiny, really messed up things coming out of the woodwork, you know what I mean? And when, like I said to Jim earlier on, honestly, when you start toppling statues in streets, when I look at history, that's just led to bloodshed and bloodshed and, like communist and socialist ways like China and all that. You say anything, you get shot. You know what I mean? Students wanting a bit more rights and then they get slaughtered. Honestly, it's going all down that road and it's scary.
I just can't. I just don't agree with making allegiance with Black Lives Matter. This is just.
It doesn't, at this point, it doesn't look like there's going to be much chance of that, and it's going to, any kind of attempt to is just going to look like weakness. So, like you said there, a lot of our leaders will say, they'll denounce certain elements or certain actions by their own side, but in a way it's weakness, and in a way it's a weakness that we could do with getting over and not feeling the need to do in some ways, like Black Lives Matter do. I think one of the main things that we need to do is actually start not giving a fuck and just saying, right, we want to do what's best for us, and we're not going to apologise. We're just going to plough ahead with it.
We've got nothing to apologise for. It's
pragmatic because of the media, but part of that is going to be having that maturity to just say, right, this is what we want, and it might be against some other people's interests, but
how is siding and making allegiance with Black Lives Matter, how does that progress the UK people, the English people? How does that it doesn't do anything for us?
Well, unless it probably doesn't. Like I say, I think I'm with you on this. But I can understand why people might think, we have to do this, but it's the civic nationalist element that doesn't think that there's any real value to ethnicity that is more likely to do this. And so like I say, I do think that
Jim, do you remember I'm not sure if you were on the show, but it was about 2 months ago. There's a ex-BNP candidate here, and he was on the chat. And then another BNP member was on there. Now, he made a statement, right? And I basically shouted him down because of it. And what he said was, for us to make a difference in the UK, we need the African vote. So if we get the African vote to join us, we can then get Islam eradicated out, because us alone haven't got enough votes. But if we side with the Africans, the Jamaicans and the black community, as a unified force, we can then eradicate Islam. But my comment was, well, what do you do when that experiment fails? Because what you're doing is you're substituting one for another.
Yeah.
But ultimately, none of them like the UK and what it stands for. They've made it quite clear. They don't want these statues up. They don't want Churchill statues up. They don't want all this stuff. And so to side with them, knowing that they've already showed their hand. It's not like it's a new movement where it's, we just want our own little nation. We want to be treated the same. Well, in the UK you are. All right, I don't care what people say. In the UK you are. I don't know about other countries. But as far as we are, you are classed as an equal in this country. You always are. But you don't want to be a part of this culture. You don't want to be a part of this history. Because if you wanted to be a part of it, you wouldn't be asking to take down statues, burning our flags. So they've already shown their hand of what their intention are. Their intention is eradicating the white people in England, in the UK. They've already told us that's what they're doing. Their statement says that. I can send you the Black Lives Matter manual. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but I can send it you. Read what that says. I was listening to Big Bro from Speaker's Corner and that, and he read some of it out, and he said, how can I side with that? And he basically, on YouTube and everywhere else, said, I do not stand with Black Lives Matter. They've already shown their hand. They know what they want. They want everything to do with whiteness out of the UK. They want statues out. They want names that are named after these people gone. Yeah. We really have to do this to appease a foreign people?
Yeah, exactly. So to be fair, the guy that was saying that was a guy called Paul Rimmer, and I've got a lot of respect for him. I think he's a great guy. But I don't think he was actually making the point that we should ally with black nationalists or Black Lives Matter. What I think, because he's quite a devout Christian, so what I think he was trying to say was that we should unite around the idea of Christianity. And he was saying, that there's a heavy Christian element within the black community, the British black community. I don't think he was talking about Black Lives Matter. He was thinking about black Christians. So I can kind of see that what he was trying to go for then, but I do also think that, I've got some criticisms of Christianity, and I think it's not in a position of strength at the moment, so it's probably not the ideology it's not, as it is, it's not the ideology to put too much weight and hope around at the moment, because it's on its way down, just like the British Empire is. But I can see what he was thinking. He wasn't trying to say that we should unite with Black Lives Matter, rather the black Christian element within.
But then it depends. Yeah. I mean, we talked about that as well. And the problem is that because of the Christian side of it, they're so far disbanded from the Christian church anyway. It's not even Christian. They class themselves as that. But if you look at the way they conduct their churches, it is different.
Yeah.
And so a black Nigerian Christian does not have this similar faith as we do. And so you can't substitute. You can't just say, like Bob the Builder. I love his work and he's doing great stuff. But he was saying he'd rather have a Nigerian black person over a white non-believer. Well, I'm sorry, but that's a poor argument. And
especially in the state of Christianity at the moment,
yeah,
I mean, it's very much populated by egalitarianism. So, and which is absolutely, it's not what we want at the moment. Not that I'm sure that we ever want it. I don't believe in egalitarianism. I'm not an equalitist or whatever you want to call it. But I don't think there's a pragmatic element there. We either need to develop a new religious idea or focus on a political movement, but again, the tables they're against that. In fact, I think we're going to need several different angles.
We need to go back to the values of the 1940s and 50s.
Yeah, it's how to get there, and whether we can go back or we need something new again. We need to. When I see cycles of societies and cultures, I see societies and cultures going through cycles, and unfortunately, like I say, if we want this ideal of what we had before the war, maybe, or before everything went tits up in the 50s and 60s. But from a pragmatically speaking, this is the problem conservatism has always brought, the fact that it's never really pushed back and it's never been able to use the momentum of change within a society. I think a better way of approaching it would be to predict where we're going to go and co-opt the momentum that the change in society has. We agree.
I don't agree. This is about all colour though. This is they bring it down to that. Now I've had loads of conversation on different streams and I've explained it a few times, but it doesn't seem to be getting any ground. This has got nothing to do with colour. This has got to do with cultural differences. The reason why there's groups of people arguing about each other isn't necessarily down to colour, although a lot of racism is masked. A lot of cultural differences is masked as racism, but it's cultural differences. It's wearing a hijab. That's not a racist thing. It's a cultural difference I don't like. FGM, that's a cultural practice that I don't like. There's lots of little things that I don't like, which is cultural differences. It's got nothing to do with racism or colour. Because
there are a lot of cultural conflicts, but I don't see how you can you can't really separate nature from nurture. You can't really separate race. It's never just about one thing and not about another thing. There's always going to be an element. I mean, we're being attacked. The problem is, if we're going to be attacked on the streets, it's not really going to be to do with our culture as much as it is because of our skin color, because you can't really tell what someone's culture is by looking at them, but you can tell what someone's race is. And I mean, the British people don't particularly want it to be about color. We're in this phase where we kind of don't put any value in it at all. But the problem is many of our opponents do think it is about color. So we are going to have to face up to that. The fact that we are being attacked on that level and about that issue.
Yeah, well, I believe we're being attacked.
Defend ourselves on that issue as well.
Yeah, I believe we're getting that on colour, but necessarily isn't on back. If you look at Islam, and you look at that's not a colour. That's an ideology to start with. But the mass differences that we have with that religion is their cultural differences.
Yeah, most of it. I'll say most of it. But again, you can't really. A lot of the time, you'll look at an Arab, a Pakistani Arab, and we'll assume that he's Muslim based on his skin color quite often. We don't go up to them and say, "Are you a Muslim?" and test their beliefs. To see
Yeah,
if
but you
they're-
don't need to. They're quite vocal in the way they do. I mean, if you
Yeah.
convert to Islam, most of the time you will don on a beard. You will start wearing the traditional clothes. So it's not hard. If you go to any inner city, you can clearly spot a Muslim from a Christian. You can definitely tell them from a Hindu as well. So
Yeah, especially if
ultimately,
they're
you
wearing
can
religious dress,
you can tell the difference. You just travel any inner city and you can tell. So a lot of the stuff, a lot of it is the cultural differences that we don't like, and because if we dislike a certain part of their culture, and it may cause arguments for one thing or another. The problem then is it's classed as racism, and racism carries a bit more weight than cultural differences do. But once this racism thing gets worn out and people don't really see that as anything, you will start seeing a cultural racism come through. And this is where it's ended, because we've gone through the Nazis and we've gone through, people calling a Nazi doesn't really do anything anymore. You can be called everything. And at the moment now, the word racism, it means fuck all. Doesn't. And so they need to find the next thing. The next trigger word, and this is what it'll be. It will come down. They keep bringing it down to colour, and this is a problem. I've been on a lot of different shows, a lot of black nationalist panels and everything. The first people to bring in colour is them. I'm talking about the UK. And I said I need it to be, I want it to be English white. So I brought colour into it. And then they says, oh, well, you want all black people out. I says, when did I say that? Well, you just said you want it to be white. Yeah. But what about the French people I don't want here? What about Ukrainians? What about Romanians? What about the Polish people I don't want here? What colour are they? I don't want them here neither. I don't want full cities the size of London to be Polish. I don't want the full sizes of London to be Halifax to be Italian. So they bring colour into it straight away, because that's their first defense mechanism against it.
But it goes with the socialists, don't they? They're really good at using the colour word. So the colour element or that kind of thing.
Yeah, the left. The main thing that the left want to target is that natural aspect, that the racial, ethnic element. I mean, so all right, I don't mean to use ethnicity and race as interchangeable, because ethnicity does refer to a mix of culture and race. But they're always going to do that, because they want to attack us on that angle. Because if they can get rid of racism or racialism, whatever you want to call it, then that's the game won for them. These, like I say, the materialists, they don't. All they want us to do is focus on money, rather than like the spiritual elements, which do seep into and inform and influence ideas such as ethnicity and race. They want it to be just about culture. So they're trying to get rid of any kind of racial ideology by attacking it constantly. And that's why I think we need to push back a little bit, and recognize the value of the extended family of
Well, think of it this way. Okay, think of it this way. You do the call of prayer in London, right? And it get broadcast. Is that because of their colour, or is that because of their culture?
Sorry, that it gets broadcast.
So where they do the call to prayer in London. So that's part of their religion, part of their culture. That's not to do with race, and so that's a part of the culture that we don't want here. And so you've got intermarriage. Marrying your cousins. Okay, we don't like that because common practice within that people. Yeah. So is that because they're black, or is that because is that because they're Indian, or is that because of their culture? It's a cultural difference we don't like.
I don't see how we can separate nature from nurture. I don't think that we can separate the idea. I think it's always a little bit of both. I mean, so for example, if your ethnicity or your religious group practices a certain amount of in or out breeding or arranged marriages, these are all cultural ideas that ultimately breed a stronger or weaker race, an ethnicity. So, like I say, they inform each other and they influence each other. So we can say, that you can't really separate them. But yes, it seems like it's a cultural practice, but it has effects on the genetics of the group. So, like I say, inbreeding has inbreeding has genetic effects and biological effects on the group that makes them a more close-knit community, for example. I mean, so for example, if you've got cultural practice that that promotes inbreeding, then that's going to promote a certain genetic deformity.
Yeah, but that's down to not colour, that's down to culture, and that's down to, that's what I'm trying to say. If you convert to Islam and you marry under Islam, by law you will marry within yourselves. That's what will happen. That's part of their culture. That's not because they're black.
Well, I don't know. Like I say, I think it is a little bit of both.
Converts do the same thing, but then what happens to a white convert? It can't be about colour, because anyone can be this. Anyone can take on the culture. You can't take on the race, but you take on the culture. And what normally happens is when you go into these communities, you take on their culture. You're still white. You're still you could be still Chinese, but you will take on their culture. You will dress like them and everything else. So this isn't about colour for me. It really isn't. It's about their cultural differences that is masked as racism just to get their own way. Because when you do that, when you are a convert from any ethnicity, you will adopt their culture, and it's the culture clashes which causes problems.
Yeah. So like I say, I can get on board with maybe that in some ways and on some issues it's more cultural than it is racial. But like I say, I just don't separate them entirely and say it's nothing to do with race, because cultural practices increase certain like ethnic and racial in-group biases because of things like genetic deformities and inbreeding and marriages and stuff like that. I mean, so if you're controlling, say you've got religious or cultural practice that means that that has you control over the sexual market, then because religion does that as well. It naturally breeds ethnocentrism. So that's part of my point. Ethnocentrism is a byproduct. Yeah, it might be downstream and a byproduct from the religion and the culture, but it still has a feedback effect because they're controlling the genes that are married into their group. Obviously there are anomalies when you get converts, like white converts to Islam and stuff, and then it's just about or it's much more of just about culture, but there's always going to be a mix of both to some degree for me. And like I say, I think one of the major goals of the left is to attack on the level of race and folkish identity. So for me, we have to push back on it, and it's kind of a win for them if we say that race and race doesn't matter at all. It's a bit of a win from them because it's pretty much exactly what they want us to cede that ground. If they want us to give ground on it, I think we need to push back a little bit. And so, because, like I say, for me, it is an extension of the family. It's not everything. It's not everything. I mean, there are upsides and downsides to in and outbreeding, but
I really believe that even fuck me, there's a few trolls in there today, isn't there? Jeez. But I even believe that once, even if we did, let's say we did a line with Black Lives Matter, right? And then we sort of found a middle ground. I'm having no part of it, but because I'm white, so I'd have to join something that says White Lives Matter and not Black Lives Matter. That just so hypocritical to even do that is stupid. And so let's say we did this, and let's say it went fine, right? Colour again won't matter, okay? Because what will happen is they will always revert back to their culture, and that will be the deciding factor on anything. They will always go back to their culture, and you can't change culture.
Oh, right. So I think whether you can do it on purpose or not, I don't know. But I think, that's the thing. Another part of the reason why I would advocate that we stand our ground on racial issues is that I think culture is easier to change and influence culture than it is, at least in a positive way, race. I mean, we can experiment with different cultures, and then if they don't work, we can we can turn the clock back and say, right, that didn't
Yeah.
work. But if we were to experiment, now that we're experimenting with multiracialism, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder because it's got to be intergenerational change.
I've got an example
for you. Harder to turn the clock back on that if we get it wrong.
Yeah, I've got a perfect example for you because everyone always talks about this. They talk about the first, second, third generation immigrants. Okay, so the first immigrants come over. It's like it won't take me long to explain this. The first immigrants come over. Okay, they come to a Western country. There's no clothes shops that they know. There's no food shops they know. There's no nothing. Okay, and so they were in a sense forced to integrate because you had to buy Western clothes. Because there wasn't any shops unless you imported them. They didn't have the money to do that. So whatever they brought, that was it. So normally they would wear traditional clothes at prayer, or they would have traditional clothes when they're there. But they can't wear the same things. The material wasn't here what they used. In the times that they come over, we were wearing suits and flat caps. There wasn't these saris. There wasn't these places doing it. And so when you look at this, when you look at them trying to explain this, they say, look how integrated they were, though. Look at the way, they were eating fish and chips. They were going to the normal supermarket. They were wearing jeans and t-shirts, just like they did in Saudi. If you look at in the 50s and 60s, they used to wear the same thing. And so when they come to the UK, they had to. But through generations, they realised that actually, I know what I'll do. I want to wear my traditional clothes more often because now they're established, and so they start making their own clothes, and then the communities get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then what they do is, and this is the point I'm trying to make, then they revert back to their culture. Their culture is wearing saris. Their culture is wearing this stuff. So yes, the first generation would have had to have forced to sort of integrate in a sense to our culture because their culture was alien to us and we couldn't supply them with the stuff they needed. But then slowly through the 10, 15 years, this factory's opening that was making clothes just for them. And then there'll be shops opening locally just to supply the certain communities. So ultimately what happens then is, over the years, the same people that came here that were wearing the jeans and t-shirts and nice dresses, westernized dresses, if you look at them 20 years later, they've reverted back to their culture.
Yes. So what happens? Well, actually, right, the generational thing is a bit complicated because what you're talking about there might be more to do with the fact that might be more to the fact that the numbers and the confidence the community has to maintain their culture. So when the first numbers first came over, there was more of a feeling that they had to assimilate because they were so outnumbered. And when the numbers start to grow, it's more of a numbers game, I think, what we're talking about there. That when the numbers start to grow, the confidence starts to grow, and it's like, well, why should we and why do we?
Yeah.
Why do we and why should we denounce our culture? And when they start, when they get more power and they get more numbers, they're going to keep hold of the culture. And to be honest, I don't blame them. I don't really blame them. It's really us that I think we should kick back on it. I'm not really about trying to get people to come up to integrate with our culture. And this is my criticism of civic nationalism. Really, I don't really think we've got that much of our culture left to protect.
No.
But yeah, there is research that, generally speaking, the third generations tends to integrate more than the first and second. But it wouldn't look like that in the scenario that you're laying out there. And I think that's...
Well, I'm seeing it worse. I'm seeing it the other way around. The first and second generation used to integrate quite well because they used to go down into the shops, you used to go down in the local pubs. And then what's happened is, when they've brought their culture back in, and when the second generation comes through, they're instead of being taught of the culture that they've newly adopted, what they do is they revert back, and this is what I'm saying. So no matter how long they come here, no matter how integrated they are, whether it's Polish or Chinese, they will always revert back to their culture.
Well, what might be influencing this as well, I mean, I don't know any research that's actually studied this, but in my opinion, I do tend to notice, so you have this meme in society where quite often children will rebel against their parents.
Yeah.
And I've noticed it amongst my friends that quite often when that happens, they end up more associating more with their grandparents. So maybe if you consider that, that each generation goes through a bit of a rebellious phase towards their parents, then there would be a bit of a back and forth swing each generation. But it's complicated to pin down.
I've got to say though, on that issue, when we look at Oldham and how they let places turn into ghettos, that would have that kind of impact on keeping, an area like it is. And we talked about Glodick and stuff like that. But you are right, those streets, when they first come, they pretty much integrate, they had to.
They had to, there was no choice.
Oldham, Labour in Oldham, their failings on building communities when new people come into the town is just adding to all this,
It happens everywhere. Look at, if you go to Spain, there's a lot of expats in Spain. Well, if you look at when they first went over there was no sort of baked beans, there was no fucking bacon, there was no, and it was known that they used to have to smuggle English food over there. Okay, and so when they went over there, they had to eat their food, they had to wear their clothes, they had to do it because there wasn't anything. So they used to import a lot. Now, if you look at what has happened is, and this is what I mean about race and culture, what happened is that they're the same colour. They went over to a different country, which is totally alien to us. And what they actually did was, for years, they were importing illegally the food from over here because their culture kicks in. And then when they get to a point where there's a lot of them, they start opening their own shops. They start opening, let's have a Sunday dinner on a Sunday. Let's for all the expats here. And so culture always kicks in. And it's the cultural differences which is the enemy. It's not about race for me. I know it sounds... I don't think it is. I'd say 70, if not 80% of the problems that we have in this country is not to do with what the colour they are, it's their cultures that they bring in.
Yeah. Well, there's something I want to do actually. A couple of shows will do it that, like, I know we all bleed red and or whatever colour, whatever, and our organs are in the same place, but people are not the same. And I'll prove it to you in a show, and we'll just go into it. Just a bit of biology needed, and some like basic evolutionary things, and I'll prove that we're not the same. No matter what everyone tells us, we're not the same. But it's another show to go into.
Yeah. What I suppose the bigger issue of what we all talk about, or a lot of people talk about, is like psychometric research now that can show us, and I can see how that people with different ways, temperaments, for example, temperament has been measured as heritable, being highly heritable. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that it's biological, I suppose, but it suggests it to some extent. But
imagine this then, yeah. Imagine. Oh shit! I just forgot I was just reading the chat. I did this before. I was reading this chat, and I totally forgot what I was going to say. Bloody hell! Right, it will come back to me. I'm apologising, but I've just read a long bloody message, and I'm like, damn, what was I going to say? Oh.
Yeah. So all right. Well, why are you doing that? What was it? What was I saying now?
Totally forgot. Fuck.
Yeah. Again.
Oh yeah, that was it.
Go on.
So,
you got it.
So you've got this is where culture, right? Cultural practices is masked as racism to allow it, okay?
Right.
Because cultural practices, no one really gives a shit. They just go, they normally do that. That's just the way they are, Why are they wearing them? Why are they wearing them burqas? Oh, don't worry about it. It's what you tell your kids. Don't worry. It's their culture. It's just what they do. Get on with it. Okay, and this is how culture is overtaking ours. Okay, so when you look at, say, in the UK, polygamy is illegal, yeah?
Yeah.
But you can have multiple wives in the UK. In their language, in theirs, because it's not their marriages aren't classed as ours, but they know they're doing it, okay?
Yeah.
So what they do is that it'll be like, well, oh, it's just a cultural practice, you know, and they're not really getting married under our law. So in the theory, just let them get on with it. And so if we moan about that now, it will be classed as racism. You're being racist against them people because that's what they do. No, it's nothing to do with racism. That cultural thing is fucked up. You shouldn't be doing it. And so the same as marrying your cousins. It's illegal in the UK. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, it's illegal everywhere, I believe. But their custom and their practices of their religion allows it. We know it goes on, but we don't enforce the law because it's a cultural practice. We're just like, oh, just get on with it. They're not hurting anyone. It's just what they do. Well, that's not acceptable. Now, when we bring this up, we're classed as racist.
Yeah.
But then that's a problem. It's not racist. I don't like that custom. I don't like that part of your culture. It should be outlawed in the West. You want to do that, you do it on your own soil. And so because it's masked as racism, we have to then allow it so we don't cause problems. And this is where the cultural differences is masked as racism. And this is the major problem. When you go down your towns and the cities, it isn't so much the colour of the people there. It's the practices how they behave. It's a practices what they do, having 4 wives and 10 kids by different wives because they're allowed to. But a white person can get away with it because it's their custom practices. We sort of allow it. FGM. There's only been 2 people that have been actually prosecuted, I think, ever since the law passed. Now they know they're going abroad to get this done. Now the reason why we don't enforce this because it would be masked as racism, even though we know it's nothing to do with race. It's about their culture. So this is another thing that's forced upon us under the banner of racism. And there's so much of it. I'll tell you what, Jim, when you look into this now after this stream and you look into it, when you look at it, you'll be thinking, you know what, it's not about them being brown, it's not about them being black. Their cultural practices is what we dislike, but because they mask it as racism, it's then we have to allow it to happen.
So this is my point. They're pushing culture on us by removing our interest in race. So, like I say, it's a nature-nurture thing. Nature is culture, nurture is race. It's almost like I say, I know it's not for everyone this, but I'm a big Jordan Peterson fan. He splits the left-right dichotomy up into nature-nurture, masculinity and femininity, and that kind of, So it's almost like, it's like, say, if they attack on race, then they're making the whole philosophy of our society about culture. And that's when they are imposing the culture. You're absolutely right. They're imposing a culture on us, but they're doing it by destroying the opposite idea of that, which is nature. They're imposing our nurture on us by destroying the natural side of human thinking.
That's right, because they can't force a colour on you, but they can force their culture and their practices, and this is what we push against.
Just a good evening to Sharon Goddard. Sharon, I'm always on Street Channel about 8 p.m.
Hi, Sharon.
I'm Wake Up UK Wednesday evening, from 7:30, and I do my channel sometimes in the box. I just like to let everyone know. And I've got a poorly voice because I absolutely smashed the karaoke and all the dancing this weekend. And you can ask anybody who were there, I smashed it all.
Anyway, John, I've talked too much on it.
Yeah, you have.
Sorry, I've sort of hijacked your show, and I do apologise. I've sort of diverted it in the direction I've wanted to take it.
It's interesting.
I do apologise.
It's all right. It's interesting. We'll see. Weekend's coming. We've got something planned. I'm not going to say nothing, but it's going to be interesting. Probably very fiery, but we'll let you know. But you'll see. But no, honestly, I was saying to Jim when he come in, like for years, people have wanted to deface Winston Churchill's statue.
Yeah.
The socialists have been wanting to do it for years. I think every year something happens to that statue, someone gets put on it. But with this Black Lives Matter, they've got extra push and extra power, and now they're toppling statues. So it just looks really bad. It does. It just looks really bad.
But they are actually they're looking at giving up to 10 years for defacing war memorials now, aren't they? It's a bit late at doing that. It should have been in place anybody. But anyway, it's quite strange, really. You've got a guy that accidentally didn't know there was a memorial, and he sort of took a piss, in the better of a word, on a wall. I don't think he knew it was that.
No,
at all.
I just want to say something about that.
And this guy, he's burning our flag, writing all over, defecating all over our war memorials, but no one's been arrested yet. And this guy that takes a leak, that's a better word, on a piece of wall, he probably didn't even know it was there. And so
streets, it's just a plaque on the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
PC Palmer die at the hands of a tourist.
I wouldn't know it was there.
Fucking statue.
Yeah, I wouldn't know it was there.
Tall.
Yeah, I wouldn't know it was there if I walked past it and had
You
to
know
take
what I
a
mean?
leak.
He would have known what it were if he had a proper statue, not just a plaque on the wall.
And so he's gone to prison for 2 weeks after 2 days of him being found and arrested. But the guy that's just had his head jumped on by a group of feral migrants, and you've got people literally trying to burn a non-flammable material, which is very IQ of them, with the world press watching him do it. No police stopped him. But then you can't find him to arrest him. You can't. This is just pure bullshit. Absolute pure bullshit.
So Tony Strickland just brought something up. There was 2 illegal raves, weren't there, went on, and one of them was near Oldham, the boundary of Oldham and Ashton, Daisy Nook, over the weekend. And I think there's been some stabbings. But I weren't there, Tony. I were in, is it called West Sussex?
I've heard of 2.
Yeah, that guy with his arm hacked off.
No, it's not. That is an injury, a dog injury on a kid. It's all been verified and all sorted out and all that.
No, there's yeah. So the original photograph, but have you not seen the video clip of a guy walking down the street and all his arms
I've not seen that one.
hanging off, basically?
Oh my God!
Like an Arab guy saying you got fucked up.
Shit.
Yeah, let me see. I'll put it on.
I remember seeing someone a picture of something that was a machete attack, but because it was unconfirmed, I didn't do anything with it.
Well, let me find this one here. It's vicious video.
Well, I attended. Me and Dave and a few of us attended a Black Lives Matter protest. Socialists all fully there.
Set your camera on. Yeah.
Okay, now.
Yeah, Streets. We'll stick the camera on a sec. I'll play it.
Send it to him, sorry. Send it to him.
If it's too graphic, I might not be able to play it because I've already had 2. I've had 2 videos taken down today, and it wasn't even that bad. The 2 videos I put up, and do you know what? It's the first video, right? I had 100% likes. I had nearly 400. I had 380 something views. About 30 or 40 odd likes and no dislikes, and Google even took it down, and they didn't just take it down, they deleted it.
Yeah, they'll be well on the guard right now. There'll be loads of videos going down.
Let's have a look. Oh shit.
You watching that video?
Yeah.
It's bad, isn't it?
Who did that?
Man Dave saying it's from the rave. Yeah, Jim, that was from the rave.
A rave?
Yeah, in an illegal rave in Oldham.
So what was that? Was that a racist attack? Was it just falling out of a tree or what?
God knows. We don't know. We can't really speculate, but it sounds like an Arab on the phone talking to him.
Yeah, I can't put that up, man. I'll end up fucking.
No, you can't.
I have to, seriously. I've got to be get that careful now. It's unreal. I literally I'll send it you because I'm putting it on BitChute, so I'll send you the video I put up, and yeah, the one got flagged after 10 minutes of being up, and so I edited some of it out, which I thought was the bits that they didn't like, and then I put it back up, and then this morning I went to go and share it again, and it had gone.
Yeah.
James as well, England FC. Hope he's still in the chat. God bless you. He's had another strike. James has had a strike. I've had 2 videos took down. And what you need to remember is when YouTube do this, they don't just take it off so you can download it. They actually delete it. They don't even give you warning. They don't go, right, take this down or copy it before it expires. They go, bang, gone. Yeah, so I'm probably one step away of losing the channel now because I'm already on 2 strikes, 1 more, and I'm gone. So I think they've been a little lenient with me on this, but
yeah, you got to be careful. It's going to be, like I said, there's going to be it's weathering the storm to some extent.
Yeah. So I have to be really, really careful of what I put up.
You don't want to be. Well, how many subscribers has your channel got now?
1,300, something like that.
1,300. Yeah, that's very decent audience. You want to keep that, but it might be an idea to make a second channel. That's what I was telling James.
Well, the analytics for the channel is I've got over 10,000 watch hours. So for how many subscribers and videos I've got, that's really high.
Yeah.
And I think I've got 250,000 views. So it's there, but I just don't want to lose it. I have got another channel, but I haven't really pushed it. So I'm gonna have to.
But like I said to James, it'd be useful to have a second channel.
Yeah. That's a nightmare. But hopefully, as long as we keep it, I haven't really said anything that bad today, so hopefully I'm not going to get flagged for it. I've been factual. I've not been racist or anything like that. I'm on about cultural. Remember, if anyone's listening to this, I'm on about cultural differences, not race differences.
Oh, don't give in to him.
before you try and strike me. I'm talking about cultural
I think they're going to do it based on offensive. So if you're using words like savages, I was saying that's they're going to use that as an excuse straight away. I don't think they're not as bothered about topics. There is a guy, I was watching a guy on YouTube the other day called Cultured Thug. People might know him, but he's like openly fascist, and he's on debates with communists and whatnot. So he's open, he's actually being allowed to sell fascism on YouTube, but he does it in a way that isn't offensive. You know what I mean? I think that's where the biggest problem they have.
Well, actually, I know. Who was it? Wandering Wolf. He put up. He got banned for 14 days for a title.
Did they specifically say it was the title? What was the title?
Well, he didn't. It was something about Ian Lee, but he didn't show anything in there in Ian Lee. He didn't do anything. It didn't do anything on to say about him. He was just going to critique an Ian Lee post. So the stream hadn't even started.
Wow! Right. Okay.
Yeah, and Ian Lee was the one that struck it, because when you strike someone, it has to say you did it, and Ian Lee actually struck it. He didn't play any of his content. He hadn't done anything yet, and he still did that. It was nightmare. So he did lose his channel for a title.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
4 Candles. I haven't seen you for a while. How you doing? God bless you.
Yeah, there was what was that? I've not got the chat up here, but someone was saying before, just bringing it back. I did want to address. Someone said something in the chat about I was using the term fascism pretty loose and quick, and yeah, that was a fair point. I don't know if you want to go into that, but like I say, what I was going to say is, yeah, it's pretty loose for me. Like I say, I don't like to conflate it with left wing too much, but it can slip into that, especially when what's happening now is, like I say, they are heavily. It's almost like Nazbolism. It's more rather than fascism. It's national Bolshevism. Yeah, it's black ethno Bolshevism, rather than fascism.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is actually crazy what the way. I mean, I thought 2020 was going to be a brilliant year But obviously, I think everyone's been drinking the 2020 wine and it's turned into rat shit.
It's everyone's scared. Everyone's scared. We've never known this before. I mean, not in my lifetime anyway. All right, they had rations and stuff when the war was going on. The war was a lot worse. But for a couple of generations now, this is right out of the blue, even though they've been talking about it a little bit, but it's right out of the blue. Just the whole world's just been locked down.
Yeah.
And it's just that right amount of pressure, like Edward Dutton was saying, it's that right amount of stress and pressure that has just reached this boiling point. And, I mean, no, go on, that's all I wanted to say on that, but...
So, state of the empire, and like all the degenerate stuff, all the LGBT stuff being pushed on us. Honestly, we haven't even got a family unit now. It's like it's a thing of like something rare. That's what it is. A decent like family or community. A decent community unit is quite rare in working class areas like Oldham and places like that, Rochdale, certainly the northern areas, even the northeast and stuff like that. They don't have the good communities, man. They don't.
So it depends. It's us that don't have communities, yeah. And yeah, there's ways around that. We do need to build communities and stuff, but bringing it back to what you were saying before. So the black families and stuff. That's how we're getting for those people that we're talking. We're thinking about trying to persuade them on any point. That's the one for me. I mean, Larry Elder famously made the point that the left-wing politics and socialism has destroyed the black family. So the black ethno-nationalists, see the blokes in the movement, the rational ones, they'll be mostly focused on the ethno-nationalist side of it rather than the economics. And it's the feminists. The problem is, how could you even do it? Because even if you started to say, listen, your left-wing element in your movement, the feminist side of things, the socialist side of things, because there's a lot of black feminists that are basically anarchists and communists. And a lot of the blokes won't be asked about that. They'll just be asked about the ethnic side of them. So yeah, they need to, the ones that do come over when you see them wearing Trump hats, that's because they're aware of the effects that socialism has on their families. Well, yeah, communities. We need to start building communities. We need, like I say,
yeah, America first. Yeah, Black Lives Matter want no nuclear family, no fathers, and the no nuclear family is on their statement. If I'm correct, America first. That's one of the main things on their statement.
Yeah, it's but we should be having debates and chats with the male ethno-nationalist leaders. We could at least debate them. But we could do it in a way, maybe, if we wanted to at least try and say, listen, unite. If you wanted to unite the right, then if you wanted to unite people on like men's rights or something like that, or just unite the right, then yeah, maybe you might have to negotiate or at least communicate with right-wing Muslims, right-wing Jews, right-wing blacks, whatever, ethno-nationalist, thinkers, and that aren't really asked about the social side of things, the economic side of things. But yeah, it's not looking good for any kind of negotiation at the moment. Do we know any? I mean, the people are making videos and stuff now, so we should be reaching out to them, target them. I think James had a debate with Raspek, didn't he? And I don't know if Raspek's a Rastafarian or not, but it reminded me of the conversation I had with the Black Hebrew Israelites in Manchester Piccadilly Gardens once. And yeah, he was right-wing as hell. He was just all about the family. He didn't mention economics at once, but he was also very, he didn't like white people because of slavery. But his main reason for that, he was talking about a guy called Willie Lynch. There's a letter apparently that a big slaver, a famous slaver, went over to America. I think he was English, and with the intention of teaching them how to. And this Willie Lynch letter out talks about how to destroy a people, and you do that by pitting son against father, husband against wife, and just break up the families, attack the families at its core, and that's how you make slaves. So you can, I empathize with him. You know, he felt that we had purposefully destroyed the black people to make them slaves. We had purposely destroyed the idea of family and set them amongst each other, and that he was saying that for generations we're still getting the effects of that now. And that's when I was saying, well, yeah, part of the reason that's happening even more is because of the socialist policies of high welfare rates that have encouraged the family even more to split up. What do you think, John? What's people saying in the chat?
Not much.
Like most of us nationalists, the passion and frustration can be abused by authority, so I learned to keep your own close and avoid other traps. Sounds familiar.
So there's a guy comes on here, and I didn't realise, but a couple of years ago, Ronnie, you went to that Birmingham where the FLA and the DFLA had demos on the same day. I think Amory was, but we went, and this guy wanted to talk to Red Pill Phil, and he was one of the first flat earthers that I ever met, and he comes on here.
Oh no! Oh, can we not share some? Have you seen John Boyega's speech yet?
No.
About Ashton Kutcher, have you seen Ashton Kutcher's
You
video?
mean John Boyega? You mean him in Star Wars?
Yeah.
I've seen his speech.
Right. So have you seen Ashton Kutcher's video that he's made as well?
No.
So Ashton Kutcher's was crying on a video. Can we not share the screen? Can we not share that?
Yeah, you can. You have to send it to him. What's it on?
Can we not share YouTube screen?
I think we can.
Right. Never mind. Basically, it's Ashton Kutcher telling a story of how he explained to his son that the girl, his sister gets to read her story first at bedtime because some women don't get to go first. And that's why he was saying that all lives matter need to understand that some black people don't get to go first. But it just shows that he's totally ignorant of the fact that, some white people don't get to go first either. Yeah, there it is. You've got it up now. And it's so naively pathetic of an actor as well. And this is the thing with John Boyega. Both of them were basically getting very emotional. And I get that. But the fact that they're actors doing it as well, and he's not in a crowd there, Ashton Kutcher, he's just sat on his couch crying about the difference between all lives matter and Black Lives Matter. And yeah, it's just typical of the way they think. They're not, because they haven't experienced it, they don't think it happens.
So anyway, state of the empire. So in all the times that I've seen, I don't think Britain have had as much shit put on them through all levels, the socialist, globally, whoever you want to say, right? They haven't. We're at a high point now, and it's either we win or we lose, but not in generations. It's got to be quick. So that's the state of the empire, man, honestly. And then all our history will be erased, even no matter what it is, whether it be good or bad, whatever is linked to them times will be erased. They won't just be so picky and choose it, you know what I mean? They'll erase everything and put their stamp down, however they want it to be. And it says that throughout all of time, unfortunately. In all different kinds of empires and all that. But honestly, state of the empire, man, honestly, and there'll be rioting on the street soon for sure. There'll be more statues toppled. What they wanted to get rid of? Is it Peel, the policeman?
Robert Peel, yeah, the guy. Well, his father.
His father more. His
yeah.
father.
So again, they're saying that he's a beneficiary of slavery because his father was involved in slavery. Also, the Antifa types, the anarchists, will absolutely love the idea of tearing down Robert Peel statues because he created the police, and they absolutely hate the police, probably more than anyone really. They absolutely hate the police and rich people. But yeah, you can see this. They scroll all cops are bad next to their anarchist sign. So yeah, they've got a few on the list, and we've got our work cut out defending them. I was so on the fence about going to London, but we ended up going to Manchester, and even then, Manchester, I missed the because it went off in Manchester. There was a group that turned up, and there was a bit of blood spilled and police vans flying about all over the place. But yeah, I just missed that as well. I was there from about 10 o'clock to about 2 o'clock, I think, and it happened about 3. But yeah, if I'd been down to London, it would have been a different thing. I'm definitely gutted. And it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I don't know, are people going to turn up in similar numbers if the LM keep having their protests? You know, if they have, is it going to be the same thing next week? I don't know. Maybe it was a bit of a one-off, partly maybe because Tommy had, publicised it and said that he was going to be there. It was, I know he's changed his position on that a little bit.
Honestly, this weekend, I'm going to smash the lefties. Honestly, I'm going to smash the socialists. They won't stand a chance with me. Honestly,
where? How?
I'm not going to say. I can't. Yeah. I don't want to say where, but this is coming. This coming weekend. Honestly,
you mean in a non-violent way, right?
Yeah, of course, in a non-violent way. Yeah, of course. Honestly, my words, my facts. I will put them to shame. You know what I mean? They're going on about Black Lives Matter, and they go on about slavery. Do they know about slavery though? Do they know other areas to do with slavery? Do they know that it wasn't just all black men that wanted to end slavery? So did white people, right? Do they know that? You know what I mean? Do they know the history? You know what I mean? And they don't.
Actually, can I jump in on that? Can I just jump in on that? You know the slavery thing? Jim probably knows as well, but this the slavery part of it, where they're saying that we haven't paid, we want reparations, and someone made a comment on another stream saying that we've only just stopped paying reparations in 2015. Well, that's actually, it's all incorrect. What actually happened was we decided to free all the slaves in the empire. So we went round all the countries in the empire, we went all to the slave owners and said, you can no longer have slaves. And so then they goes, well, these are basically, I can imagine the conversation, well, they're mine. And so we purchased them to set them free. And so we borrowed so much money, that it was about 40% of our GDP went to freeing all the slaves in the empire, and we had to do that by buying them off.
Just finished paying it back, like
buying them their freedom, and then letting them go. And so we've only just been paying that, right? We've only just finished paying that. So let's not pretend that we haven't. That this country hasn't made a massive debt from 1855 or 1852, something like that, up until 2015. We've only just paid the massive debts we had to free all the slaves in the empire. So, let's not pretend that we've let this carry on. And this is probably one of the reasons why my video was took down, because I also showed clips of 2017 of black people being sold in Saudi. And so, if Black Lives Matter, why are you concerned of a country that actually almost went bankrupt freeing all the slaves in the empire, whereas your own brothers and sisters are actually enslaving you now?
Oh, streets, come on, that don't mean nothing to the socialists and the lefties, honestly.
Yeah, I'd like to say it's becoming very apparent that there's not going to be much talking to them. There's not going to be much debate. They're just going to keep plowing ahead. We're just going to keep plowing ahead, no matter what we say, no matter what evidence we put in front of them. It's just, we've got to learn to stand our ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
I'm
Like I
just going
say,
to put
I'm
this.
not saying that we didn't do anything wrong, or we've never done anything wrong, but
Of course, no, but we paid your debt over the last 200 years, 300 years.
exactly, we've done much more right than we have done, and I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for any of it.
You know, and as soon as we came out of the empire, all the countries that we left reintroduced slavery because now it's in the places that we said they couldn't have it. So, you know, I mean,
I'm going to revise that. I don't apologise for any of it anyway. There's
I
things
don't
that
apologise for nothing. I
Indigenous.
wasn't there.
Joshua fought in Saudi Arabia. There are slaves there. It's all bollocks. In it so, my brother. In it so. Honestly, I just want to say again, if my voice is a bit wavery, that's because I outdanced and I outsang everyone this weekend in Bath.
What were you singing?
Again. There is some videos actually with me Union Jack onesie on, you know what I mean?
What is it you were singing?
Yes, of course, you can tell. The deep, all sorts of songs come on, and I sung a couple of verses that I know, you know, put belted it out, like, you know what I mean?
Oh, is that the party that Betty wanted to get to?
That what?
Was that the party Betty wanted to get to?
Yeah.
She's on about offering a grand or something.
Well, people have been down at Ace. So what do you reckon's next then, Street? You got any predictions?
The
next couple of months?
I
rest of the year?
I think they're going to push the new Tommy Robinson sort of fraction hard. They're going to try and guilt trip some of the Civnats into believing that this really is a thing. We're going to see the next wave of bullshit of, you know, I just dread of what it's going to be like. But
yeah, I think I can't imagine that it's not going to keep getting worse and worse every weekend. It's going to die down a little bit, and then the media will just help people forget about it for a while until the next time.
I tell you what, though, I am going to be surprised at how some of the inner core of the Tommy Robinson faction are going to take this, because they've been saying a lot of things about Black Lives Matter, and you know, I mean, it's a bit like it, I'm not sure if everyone knows who Jack Dawkinson is. Just an avatar that nicks other people's material, and puts his tag on it. But he's actually put a photograph up today with this guy on the phone with Tommy Robinson is the caption, and his photograph on the train. The establishment is scared, so already he's jumping on this great unity of this. But you know what? Absolutely ridiculous. It just goes to show how quickly and how easily they are to jump ship. They can't think for themselves, because no matter what he says, they follow. And I think they haven't got their own identity. They haven't got their own thought process. One of the reasons why true nationalists are so hated is because we don't toe the line. We can't be moved. It's proper true British English grit, and where, you know, this other groups are so easily swayed. You know, he's made one comment and now all of a sudden the joining Black Lives Matter is the best thing since sliced bread. But 2 days ago it was almost a terrorist organisation. And it just goes to show how quick these are to swap over. And to be fair, did we need people like that? That's probably why the country's falling, because two people are too easy just to blindly follow.
Yeah, I think there's also an element of the fact that, you know, they just disagree on strategy and whether they think. I mean, there might be more people that agree with us than we think in, you know, the whole right-wing activist movement, and it might look like they don't have the balls to stand up for themselves and what they truly believe in, when it's more about they just think the pragmatic strategies of whether or not it's how far out of the Overton window is it, and yeah, and they're just playing politics. You know, maybe I've said it. You know, when I got kicked out of the Brexit party, it's like I'm fine with it, because I never really. I just want it to be. We need more activists. Too many activists are playing politics, and you know, telling people what they, you know, saying things that they think are more palatable. And I get that for the higher ups who actually have got a shot at being politicians, but yeah, we need more activists, especially on YouTube and whatnot, and who are willing to go and speak at demos and get involved a little bit more. Yeah, they need to be a little bit more solid and committal in their beliefs and play politics less and not worry too much. I mean, not worry too much about the Overton window and what's acceptable discourse. Activists on the ground need to just say what they believe in and let the chips fall what they may to a decent extent.
I won't be joining it anyway, and I won't be aligning with any group that does.
Oh, hell no. Oh, yeah, hell no.
Anyone that's even thinking of associating themselves in part or in full, then no. That would be like us joining Antifa just to get along. And that's again, ultimately what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. I mean, there are ways to interact with them and not interact with them. I mean, it's not a case of joining them. Remember, Antifa and BLM, and they don't have a membership or anything. They like the EDL, and it was never a case of just joining the EDL rather than just going to the demos. But yeah, I won't be going to the demos. The only way I'd advocate interacting with anyone who supports Black Lives Matter is on the street like we did at weekend. No, I'm only joking. Or through debates that, we do try and find some common ground to some extent, but also just destroy them when we can with logic and fact. When they're wrong, when they get it wrong, or there's just no way that they're going to come over to our side of thinking. Yeah, that's when we just beat them in a debate. But there should be an element. There might be an element to some extent of saying, listen, yeah, what can we agree on?
This
we all agree on family and shit like that.
Yeah.
Can we not focus on that?
I'm just going to reply to one of these messages. It says, EFF, time is now. Are you seriously high? Stop Commonwealth and stop fully exploiting Africa's minerals. Look, for a start off, what they did with the land is not what Black Lives Matter are doing. They're not saying about going into Africa and mining their minerals, you dumb shit. This is about Black Lives Matter, about slavery, about oppression, about equal rights, about you can just run them off on a list. There's so many. It's like LBGT shit. So where you're commenting on about mineral rights of what we did there, that's completely different to what Black Lives Matter are on about. They're not on about us mining the land they didn't even know the minerals were there in the first place. This has got nothing to do with that. They are saying about slavery. This is a slave owner. It's about slavery, and that's why I brought that up about slavery. So get off your little horse, your little donkey or whatever it is, and understand what the topic was about. If we're talking about the actual empire and the produce and the minerals we took out of the land, we can have that conversation. But Black Lives Matter aren't on about that, are they? So, learn your history, you dickhead.
No, like I say, there's a heavy economic element to it, and
yeah, but that's not what they're on about, though, is it? That they're on about slave owners and slavery and equal rights and the sort of that history. Well, that's got nothing to do with mining, has it? It may have something that's further down the line.
The problem the Black Lives Matter movement have, well, maybe not the problem. One of the advantages they're actually utilising is the fact that they've not actually said what they want.
They don't know what they want. That's the thing.
What they want. So I mean, maybe like you say, you've got a document there that I haven't actually read yet. I don't know if they put it in there, but that's how it seems to me. They're not actually explicit in what they're saying they want.
I'll send you the sort of the Black Lives Matter manifesto. I'll send you a couple of links as well of Sarah Garvey and people talking about it. But yeah, it's, look, the conversation that Black Lives Matter have never brought up mineral rights, have never brought up any of this. None of it. They've brought up about the oppression, not having equal rights, being oppressed, being victimised, being attacked for their colour. Black Lives Matter hasn't said anything about minerals. So when people go, oh yeah, but your empire did this, but that's not what they're about. So, as far as I know, I've never heard them talk about that. So, to bring that into the argument is just very weak.
Well, maybe what we need to do then is, if they're not going to be explicit in the goals and what they actually want out of us, maybe it's up to us to give them a potential goal and say, like, Patriotic Alternative have, we talk about repatriation, we'll call that a form of reparation. And we'll say, because they're offering, what they talk about, offering £15,000.
Yeah, sod that. Yeah, they're on about £15,000 per head to buy the passport.
So if they can frame that rather than repatriation, if they can frame it as reparation, then maybe there's some political ground to be had there.
Yeah, but you'd end up saying, yeah, it'd be difficult because reparation would be proportionate. But then actually, the reparations, what is it to them? The people that would have been in need of reparations and stuff like that would have already been passed, and so the people living today have got no connection to anyone in the last many generations have got anything to do.
Yeah, but what they're arguing is that slavery, because of how we went about it and what actually happened, that they're saying that they are still suffering from, like, say, the way that we treated them as slaves. And I can get that. I'm not an individualist. I don't think I am just me. I am my ancestry as well, and I'm a product of everything that went before me. It's a certain kind.
But should we go to Rome and ask reparations off them?
So, clearly not. But let's not also say that we're not affected by Roman culture, Roman influence.
But it depends how far you go, though. Come on, it depends how far you go. Do we go back to where we were slaves and ask reparations as well?
Well, clearly not, especially because no one.
But this is a problem. Can we do it?
My point is that we are. The Romans did things for us, and they also converted to Christianity. So in a way, Rome gave us Christianity as well.
Yeah.
So which is still one of the main things that underpins our culture and our country and our people.
Takia Watch now. I'm just guessing. I'm guessing that, like, the slave trade is more centered around, like, the Arabian areas now, more so maybe than other places. I'm not sure, but you are right. There's loads of places where it's happening.
Well, I'm going to put a video. Takia Watch actually did this, and Sarah Garvey had it on his, but he lost. For some unknown reason, he had lost the video, so I re-uploaded it, and so I'll put this video into the chat and have a watch of it. It's very informative.
He wants to join. If he wants to join,
What's that?
Oh, Simon, yeah. Hang on, sir. It's up to you, mate.
Dave won't join. Dave, do you want to come on?
Does he come on?
No, he's only on his shit phone.
Right. Let me find this video and I'll go and put it into the chat for you, and then everyone can watch it. I made part of the video I put up yesterday, which will be on BitChute in a bit, and I took segments out of this and segments out of the riots and
I
stuff.
wonder if like, I mean, we go on about slavery, and I've gone on many times about modern day slavery. Slavery that's happening right under our noses, in the basement of houses, in the middle of or on the edge of communities and stuff like that, honestly.
Yeah.
But they know this way. They must have known that this was going to come. And one of the things that the Remainers said, if we leave the EU, it's going to make modern day slavery worse. Being in the EU was why modern day slavery became a big issue in the first place.
Yeah.
And there's been various cases, but a lot of it is Eastern European areas. And I can imagine how many illegal Eastern Europeans there is here. We go on about other people, but I ain't always thought about illegal Eastern Europeans. It's certain others who always think about illegals. And again, in Oldham, we have one of the highest in the country of Eastern European populations. covering Polish, Romanian, Hungarians, places like that. Them three definitely for a start. Of course, it's created modern day slavery. It's not in the millions of people, but the fact that it's going on and, you know, right under our noses, on our back doors. And before, this kind of slavery net was unheard of in the past, like 20, 30 years. It just wasn't an issue. Now they make advertisements about it. You can get booklets from the local councils about it, you know. And just another thing of why our immigration and our system is so messed up. I've gone on loads about this. We've talked about this pretty much in depth, and Streets will agree with me. There's loads of everything's messed up. We've got loads of issues with our immigration service, the way people have come in this country. Obviously, I want it ending, right? But the reasons why is all the reasons we've talked about, all the shit they've gone through. Even when you think it's happened all right, even when the Jamaicans think that it was good Windrush, whether it was engineered by anyone or not, that ended up going tits up. But the thing is, people like Diane Abbott, David Lammy, and other senior Labour West Indians would have known this. They knew this. My dad knew it, so they would have known it. So why did no one sort it out before it happened? And it could have been solved out, that Windrush, like that, honestly. I shit you not.
Who's this?
Hello, Simon. So yeah, there's been so many issues with immigration. I've gone on about it. I've explained. I've put the links up. And again, even where we think it's been good, it's ended up going tits up. And that Windrush thing could have been sorted. My dad always said to me, he said to me years ago that about this when they first came over, and how children just like came with the parents and weren't properly documented. And he said about this, and he said he made sure that he filled all the correct documents in and all that lot. So people would have known. So all your Diane Abbotts and your Lammies, so for whatever reason, whoever's puppet mastered them or whatever, they've not done nothing. And we've ended up with a load of bona fide old Windrush people. Is his friend?
Yeah.
A friend of ours in her 30s has been a victim, and she's like a third generation Windrush, and she's been a victim of this thing, and her and her family had to pay shitloads of money, you know, to like get a visa or what, you know, I'm like, it's bollocks, man, honestly. You just couldn't make it up how shit our system is. But yeah, honestly, my words are going to be more pressure on things out of our history to go. And I don't know what the school curriculum is really on history. I'll have to look into that, what they teach the kids. But I'm guessing it will range from school to school, because I know there's still schools that celebrate St. George's Day, a couple here and there in the villages in Oldham. It's not like being wiped out like that, although schools in central Oldham won't have that much affiliation to St. George because of immigration for whatever reason. And so it's something just have to look into. But yeah, they're going to be toppling more statues, asking for more things to be stopped. And then honestly, I can't say how long it is before they're going to try and ban certain books. When that time
They're already banning books. Well, no, I don't know about banning them.
Censoring them.
Yeah, well, they've been censoring them for a while. But Yeah, so Amazon have banned books like the mainstream. They're allowed to. It's their own business and stuff. But yeah, so do you mean from schools? In schools?
Yeah, and from like real history, you know, like what, just taking it out from everywhere, schools, like when you go to a museum, there'll be less to look at about your history and all that lot. Yeah, honestly. And it might see, it's only a little thing if you take half of it down in a museum, but when they start doing it all over the place, and like I said, I showed earlier on, an MP, a Labour scumbag MP in Wolverhampton wanted the Black Country flag pulled down because she didn't like the links to racism when there is no links to racism. These daft things will come more and more, honestly. You mark my words. You mark my words.
Okay, can I address that? Can you guys hear me?
Hello, Simon.
Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm good, thank you,
Hey,
sir.
Okay, so first of all, you have to understand this is a game. So if I would try to address white people by pointing to Antifa, would that be fair?
Say that again, sorry.
If I would address white people by pointing to an example of Antifa, would that be fair? Would that be an accurate description of white people?
Well, so yeah, if you're using not if you're using the term anti-fab, but most people in this country, most white people, are anti-fascists.
It's fine either way. Does that describe right-wingers, centrist, center-right, center-left?
No.
Of course it doesn't. Yes.
No, of course not.
Meaning you have a lot of allies that is against this destructive movement that is about destroying and not building, right? So you have to understand how to describe this. So most people that are non-white are conservative in their private life. Are you guys aware of this?
Yeah, so you talk about the vocal minority, the activists.
Vocal and non-vocal majority.
And then the non-vocal majority, yeah.
Yeah, the liberals they're minority. They just have infiltrated all our institutions. Politics, media, banks. I'm not finished. Judicial, the press, universities, all of these institutions are infiltrated. But they don't have the majority behind them. They might vote in a certain way because they think Hitler is around the corner, right? But in their private life, they are a majority conservatives, meaning this is an information war. You understand?
I agree with that. But what it all comes down to is what they vote. I mean, whether they've got, they hold conservative. I'll agree with you. Most people hold some. Most white people, particularly, hold some conservative values. But if those values don't actually manifest into votes, then it is fairly accurate to say that most white people are liberals.
Well, voting is one way to measure it, right? Another way to measure it is birth rate. And if birth rate translates to voting, then you're right. But what I want to say is that most people are not liberals, at least not lefties as they express it. Okay. But all institutions are they are infiltrated. Meaning you can reach people, but also recognize that the birth rate is a huge problem, by the way, because I believe that each nation, the natives should be majority in their own nation. This is your country. This is your house. Imagine if you have like 7 rooms and you want to help out, that's fine. You can help out someone who has difficulties. You can help out 1 room, but you should not help out so you have like just 2 rooms yourself out of 7, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to give you that most non-whites are conservatives in their private life. And all the institutions, they are not neutral. I just want to say that.
Yeah, no. I think it's making a good point, especially when we were talking before about whether we should be trying to negotiate or influence or persuade people in the Black Lives Matter movement. Maybe not so much. So I think what you're saying. Maybe not so much.
Forget them. They're too radicalized. What you want to do is you want to reach those who are on the fence. Centrists,
so people who are watching from the outside, we're selling to them.
Center left, centrist, center right. That's the people you want to reach. But you can do both. You can. I'm not going to sell you false hope. All right. That's the first thing I want to say. I don't want to sell you false hope. The first thing is you have to look out for your own interest, and then you should try to recruit people. And minorities should do the same thing. They should try to recruit people and just appeal to truth. You know, the Black Lives Matter is a communist movement. Do you guys understand?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're selling, first of all, because communism is based on the means of production, right? So the poor against the rich. But since the middle class, because you have less poor now compared to, let's say, 8 years. So the communist movement, they had less, what do you call it in English? Less kunder in Swedish, kunder, customers. Because people doing better because of the society developing and so on. So now they have to still be in business. So what they did is they put people in different groups against each other, women against men, racial groups against each other. I mean, there's so many, there's so many categories. So what they're doing, they're selling lies. So Black Lives Matters, yes, they are, of course, disgusting things happening to people of non-whites. So we should be very clear about that. We should also be clear about that there are minorities killing minorities. And we should also be clear about white children being ruined by mostly Pakistani children. So we should be honest about it. We should be acknowledge all of it. All of it. Yeah. So it's not against based on racial grouping. They're leftists selling a lie. They're communists. So this is something that's a very powerful argument. You can actually reach a lot of conservative minorities about this. They are just go to FBI statistics. What are you really protesting? Why don't you care about when black people are killing each other? This is a very powerful argument. Powerful argument.
I always said this: the left are very good at doing that, aren't they? They're very good at with that point with people who haven't woke up or just a regular person. They're very good like that. I always said that.
Yeah, and black people, please be loyal to the country you live in. This country is not your enemy. They helped you out and your family when you needed it, and now they need you. It's not just black people; it's all minorities. Help out. This is your time to show loyalty. They helped your family when you were in war. Now it's your time to show loyalty. Be loyal with the country. Look out for the interests. That's I guess my point.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what we want. We should be appealing to their interests. People are persuaded when they think there's something in it for them. Now, like you say, yes, we also want to be able to use truth as well. But if we can, like I say, there's different strategies that we could use.
But can I just add something to that?
Sure.
But there are some people you cannot reach. Okay.
Yeah.
You need to identify them quickly. Do you know about a YouTube channel called Respect?
Yes, I was mentioning him before.
This guy,
debate with him.
This guy is the enemy of the West. You just kick him out with his whole family. Have you heard about Jedi?
I've heard the name, yeah.
Okay, kick him out. These people, you cannot reach them. Don't argue with them because this will your hope and your energy you would just lose it. You need to identify them quickly. Do you understand? If you don't want to do it, other people can do it. The minority can do it themselves. These people, they need to be kicked out fast. They have nothing to because they have their loyalty is somewhere else. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I get that. But if we can't pragmatically kick them out physically, one of the only options we really have is to engage with them and beat them in debate and persuade their audiences that they're not as sound in what they're thinking. I mean, give them but also give them opportunities to, if there are ways that we can meet them halfway, do that. Even if it is.
No, you don't negotiate people who want to eliminate you. Okay?
What I'm saying is, you can offer someone something that they're going to refuse as part of, just to prove people. You don't offer something you're not willing to give, but people need to know that we are also willing to, be pragmatic. It's their audiences. But when I'm saying debate someone,
you're thinking the wrong way. You're thinking the wrong way. Okay, so first of all, you have to understand that.
When I'm saying debate someone, I'm not saying to try and change their mind. I agree that some people are so far gone, but the nature of debate is to persuade the audience, not the person you're debating.
Oh, okay, I see. So when I say kick out, you can divide it in two categories. First, in your head, that these people you cannot reach them. So if you acknowledge that,
Yeah.
second thing is just when you have the power, just kick them out because these people are the enemies of the West. They're the enemies. Raspek is the enemy of the West. His loyalty is somewhere else. Do you understand?
Yes.
Like he tries to rile up people against the West. His loyalty is somewhere else. So in your head, first of all, you have to understand that these people, you cannot reach them. Do you understand? They have such a hardcore resentment against the West. I don't care about the reason for it. I just care about the outcome. Their loyalty is somewhere else. Does anybody want to comment on that?
So you don't think it's possible, like say, so you don't think, like say, I had a conversation with some Black Hebrew Israelites, and a lot of what we was talking about, it was clear he hated white people, but he was quite intelligent. So we had a good chat. And but we did agree, because we agreed on things like family values, men's rights, and that kind of thing. And even though he was clearly, this is a Black Hebrew Israelite, believes like his entire race, his people, all his people have been enslaved and have had the history stolen off them. But yeah, he was actually, he seemed receptive to things like family values. And what I'm saying is, if there was a political movement or an activist movement that just focused on that, you don't believe then that you might be able to get right-wing Black nationalists, Jewish nationalists, Muslim nationalists on those values? Because I've heard a lot of right-wing patriots say that, so you've got these Muslims that have been protesting some of the LGBT ideology in the schools. You've got some right-wingers that are saying, I'd go and support them on that. I mean, because they would think the same about us, they see right-wing activists and say, oh, you can't talk to them, they're too far gone. But my experience is that people, at least on this side of it, are willing to compromise sometimes.
Okay. Can you hear me? Spreets, Can you hear me, by the way? Thank you for allowing me to come to your channel, by the way. Can you hear me, Spreets?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I speak to you, by the way? Was that you?
Oh, sorry. No, that's Street. Were you asking Street if he can hear you?
I just want to make sure I spoke to the right person. Okay. So first of all, my response to you is, can you hear I beat my forehead. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Do you know what Hebrew is? First of all, Hebrew Israelites is I've never heard about them until I went to Miami, like 2013.
Oh, the American ones are crazy, yeah.
Miami, yeah. These people believe, they are KKK with a tan. Do you understand? Yeah. Like they're a very fringe group. They're not even like 0.00% of population in America. So they are irrelevant. They're just loud, but they're irrelevant. But these people are supremacists.
Yeah.
Have you seen videos, if you go to YouTube, where they ask people to kiss their boots?
Yeah, in America, they're looking forward
disgusting
to the
people.
apocalyptic day when the white
they're
women
disgusting people. These people believes that they will have slaves of all colors. So they are genetic-based group. They believe that they are the true people of Israel.
Yeah.
And they believe that the people of Jews that we know today are fake Jews. They believe that if you are born in Israel, that area, or Western Africa, then you're part of their group. If you're born in South Africa, Eastern Africa, North Africa, Northwest, you're going to be their slave. That's what they believe. You cannot negotiate with these kind of people. What you can do is you can negotiate with people that left this group. Do you understand?
Yeah.
These are ISIS with a tan. That's what they are.
I'm well aware of how
you don't negotiate with them. You don't go with them. With the Muslims, for example, they believe that they are two parents. They don't believe in 72 genders. They believe that homosexuality should not be taught to 6-7 years old. That's a good point. We can definitely find allyship on this point. But yeah, we have a. They think you should be subdued. Do you know what dhimmi is?
Yeah. I'm like I say, I'm well
These
aware
people.
Of I mean, the group. All right, so the group that I was talking, the guy from the group that I was talking to weren't actually Black Hebrew Israelites, but it's similar.
No, screw them. They are your enemies.
America. They're pre-Constantine Christians.
Please don't be a moron. Don't be a moron. I'm sorry. I don't want to insult you. Don't be a moron. These people think that you should be insulted. They should take your daughter and your wife and use her as their sex slave. You cannot negotiate with these people.
Okay.
Screw them.
I'm
Okay?
well aware of what the legitimate
And end of discussion.
rights in America believe.
These people are fringe. They don't even have any power, by the way. They are just lunatics that think they are supremacists.
Conspiracy
Forget them.
theories.
What you want to do is...
I'm well aware. But I think I got a particularly rational one. And he wasn't, like I say, he's very similar to Black Hebrew Israelites, but not exactly the same. And this, I think I got an anomaly, one guy who was
okay. So I think the best way to do is please reach the right, because there's a lot of people on the right that are confused, frustrated, okay? Because what they're seeing is that traditions in the society is being ruined and they never had a say about it. First of all, there has to be different roles. Some people try to do apologism. Do you know what that means? Apologism?
Yeah.
You try to reach people and defend your ground. And then you have, what do you call it when you do offensive?
Yeah.
Polemics. Those who attack falsehoods. So people should have different roles. And together they become like one unity. And that's why I have problems with the dissent right that they attacked Tommy Robinson. Because Tommy Robinson, I think he's doing great work. And he has sacrificed his life. And he has opened up many people's eyes. Yeah. And there should be different roles. Maybe you guys can comment on that.
Yeah, so it's like I was saying before, I know sometimes people get annoyed with when he does something that people disagree with, and yeah, I do too. It's whether or not you start to. I'm not starting to hate people I disagree with. I try not to anyway, because sometimes it's not just because they're not willing to speak the truth. It's rather that they just think they just believe in a different pragmatic strategy. They're just considering playing politics a little bit.
Right. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, do you want to say something?
I get that people are annoyed with people like Tommy Robinson, but the reasons behind it aren't necessarily what people seem to think. There is this complicated issue, and it might just largely be a case that he just disagrees with the strategy, but it's still hard not to get frustrated with it all sometimes.
Yeah. Do you want to say something, or maybe Squeeze?
What do you think, John? Do you think so Simon, tell me, what do you think about how Tommy Robinson dealt with this weekend? And
sorry, I don't live in your country. I live in Sweden. I haven't followed any of that. I just saw something on Roughly TV.
Okay,
on YouTube. I haven't followed anything. Please fill me in.
Well, my say on it is that Tommy's done some stuff, but there was still people. It's documented, many people, councillors, MPs, and that who said things before about grooming gangs and stuff like that, and been silenced for whatever other reason. But Tommy happens to be in the digital age of social media and all that lot, so he's sort of like he's had some boost in the marketing department because his message has got out to loads of people through social media.
Yeah, he's great. He's great at using social media, and that's why he's been so. That's big part of the reason he's been so successful. I mean, there are other factors as well, but the fact is, he's a very competent activist. He has sacrificed a lot, and he works hard. I understand why people get frustrated when he does things that they disagree with, and
yeah, it's not just that though. I think other issues is though we can have more information than we used to. We never used to be able to have a lot of the information to do with what things go on about in our governments and stuff like that. We can have that information, so a lot more people are waking up and stuff like that. But we never had the statistics and that. So there's always been something there, but he was just lucky, I think, to have the social media age and all that. But I'm 53 and I know other people who were doing stuff before Tommy Robinson, and I knew that, so
yeah, someone's just putting there something. So Tommy invites his crew to go to London, pull out at the last minute, sets his own guys up.
So Tommy is reaching so many people. You guys are underestimating his power. He's reaching people across borders. This guy, I've said this before. I believe in his cause. I would give my life to protect his cause. And if that would be that he survives and I die, I would take the bullet for him. He's so important. And it's such disappointment. Can I just finish? It's such a disappointment to see that this isn't the right to attack him. He's not without flaws. We can point out his flaws. But we can point out flaws of churches as well, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to abandon the cause because of him. So,
yeah, I agree.
It's such a disappointment, and I don't support what they're doing to Tommy. And by the way, the distant right is very small compared to what Tommy can reach. And it's not just Tommy. There's so many people who agree what Tommy is preaching. He's red pilling the centrists.
Yes.
And forget center right, because of course they're red pill as well. Center left is being red pilled. If you cannot see the power of that, I mean, maybe you're behaving like the Muslims yourself. You cannot see the bigger picture. So you should forgive the wrongdoings if you see that he does it. Sometimes he attacks people on the right wing. Yeah, it happens, but forgive it. But see the bigger picture. Don't be ego-driven. That's my point.
Yeah. So like I say, a lot of people, on the dissident right, like you say, focus on the fact that he's a gateway to other ideas and more important ideas, perhaps. We should remember that he's also a bridge, and it's quite a wide bridge sometimes. And if he wasn't if he didn't have that, if he wasn't also a gateway to some ideas, that bridge won't be as wide, and it'd take us longer to red pill the centrists. There's always two sides to it, and I'm not a big fan of slagging Tommy off because of everything that he has done, and he's still got potential. He's still got potential to do different things and go down different avenues. So like I say, I think we're in fair agreement there. Well, I get very frustrated sometimes, especially when, like I say, this weekend when that's got to have been really damaging to him this weekend. And he said it himself. He admitted it. He's made this mistake, but I mean,
well, not necessarily. No,
well, you should have just did what you said you were going to do.
No, not necessarily, because we live in a time where that you need sometimes to show a demonstration of power, and these people, they don't respect policies; they respect power. So, for example, the Muslims, they don't respect instructions. They only respect if you show them power. Do you understand? Yeah. So leftists are the same thing. They don't respect free speech. They don't respect the order. They don't respect their own principles. They only respect if the far right is willing to come out in 20,000 people and we're going to put you in your place. Do you understand? So for me, I view this as, Tommy, we need to do this next week as well. That's why I saw it as well. Do you understand? So don't be too afraid that the media is going to paint it as a disgusting thing. Think that your culture is now being threatened, and now you have some sort of resistance. So people can come out anonymous and they can resist this on the streets, and the police, the politicians, everybody will respect you, even though the media will paint you in a bad light. At least they have respect for your power. Do you see this point?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
because sorry.
So, but what's happened? So, like I say, you might not be aware of it, but he released a video when they saw them attacking Churchill's statue. He released a video, a very angry one, saying everyone needs to get down to London. You're not a patriot.
Churchill is not perfect. Nobody's claiming that Churchill was perfect, but at least we know that what Churchill did is, for example, in Sudan, Kenya, there was like a concentration camp. We all can say that, that was not good. That's not the best, his best moment. But he did great things. So a statue is not someone who's claiming to be perfect. But you should not go to the street and take out the statue yourself. It was not asked by the people.
We live in a liberal democracy. If you want stuff taken down, you can apply for it to be done.
So first of all, F liberal democracy. We want conservative democracy. We're right-wingers.
Of course, but we don't have that. My point is, we have a liberal democracy where it's actually we're quite, the council is quite receptive to take it down if you do it through reasonable.
But yeah, but it cannot be the mob doing it. So if I would be in your country, I would be on the side of this demonstration. Okay, so we should not attack police. Okay, this is stupid because this is really bad optics. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
It's embarrassing because this is going to be used. Imagine if the ISIS is doing terror attack. This is a dream come true to the left, right? Or to the right. This is what they did attacking the police. So these are morons. So the right need to police themselves. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the right should not attack the police. Sorry.
You have to repeat that, sir.
Oh, I said that the right wing should not attack the police or people. We should be righteous, meaning we should have right anger, but should be controlled anger. For example, when ISIS attack people, terror attack, right? Or Muslims do terror attack. It's embarrassing because the right will use this for the coming 10 years. And we should not give the left these kind of ammunition. We should have righteous anger. We should not just act out because we have a couple of drinks. The first one to slap.
This is the nature. This is the problem with marching in general. As soon as you get some numbers, you get people drunk. I mean, the optics on right-wing activism are so bad sometimes. I understand it. I understand that people are afraid and angry, and the situation that they're in. But it's
a terrible argument. I understand what you're doing. You're describing wrongdoings is happening because of frustration, which I totally agree with. But the first one to correct them should not be the police. It should be other right wingers. Are you guys aware that it's going to be streamed all over the world? Please don't give us back optics. So you should correct your own group. Because first of all, there's a difference between a lion and antelope. Is that what you're saying? Antelope. 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 Okay. So who is more motivated, the antelope or the lion? The lion is going after the antelope. Who's more motivated?
Well, animals tend to be moving away from.
Answer my question. The lion is going after antelope. Who is more motivated, the lion or the antelope?
You mean the lion to get fed or the antelope to survive? Well, they both work for survival,
right. Who's more motivated?
I would say a lion.
No, the opposite. Okay, so one want to get one want to survive. One want to survive. The other one want to get like extra cheeseburger. Okay, so what you need to understand is the West is the antelope. They're under heavy pressure. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Under heavy pressure. So we should be more motivated. We should have more controlled anger. We should have more. Do you guys understand this analogy?
Yeah,
because
the
antelope
I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree. I agree absolutely that we need more control. See, the problem is a lot of people are right wing in their ideas, but they're not able to embody that sense of order. And yeah, absolutely, of course we need that. It's how to get it. How do the people at the top?
So we need to foster our own group. So the antelope needs to survive. They have kids and so on. Well, the lion just needs an extra cheeseburger, right? So that way we need to know that we have much more to lose if we have bad optics and so on. While the lion just needs, they can just conquer new land, new city, new states and so on. And they can take another 10 years. They're not stressed, but we cannot afford as right-wingers, we cannot afford bad optics. Is this pretty okay to understand?
Yeah, so I like I say, completely agree with you. It's how do we get what we want in the right way? We want to look better on the streets, but pragmatically, it's impossible to control people like what in London at weekend.
Okay, so the way to go forward is that the left wing don't believe in hierarchy, right? They believe in a flat organization.
Correct.
While the right wing, we believe in leadership. We believe in hierarchy, because or else you can have anarchy. So Tommy Robinson, I'm sorry, he's not a leader. He's someone who can do good PR. He can rile up people, but you need good leadership that puts structure on this. So right wing, we always believe in structure, because if you do bad, we're going to replace you with someone else. We need leadership. We need structure. So Tommy Robinson, sorry, if you guys are looking at Tommy Robinson as a leader, you're misdiagnosing this. Tommy Robinson is someone who's good at riling up people and PR, basically. And even PR, he's half good, but he's good at riling up people. And that's good. That's one role, but he's not a leader. If you would ask me for good leadership, what's the guy's name? The one who was Brexit. What do you call it in English? Brexit party. What do you call it? No, before. No, it's called
UKIP.
UKIP. Before the previous leader, Gerard something.
Yeah, there was a Gerard Batten tried to get Tommy
Excellent
Robinson.
leader. That's something you have to work with. That's someone who likes structure. This is what right wing we need. You need structure. You need to build it from like base and then up.
Yeah.
So Tommy Robinson is not a leader. He's just good at rolling up people, which is important, by the way. John, do you have any thoughts on that?
Right. Well, anyway. Listen, guys, it's come to just after 10 now, so I'm finishing off. Thanks for coming on, man. Thank you very much for your info and your stuff there. Thank you, Jim, as well.
Cheers.
Streets, are you still there, pal? And just remember, because my voice is a bit low, it's because I smashed the karaoke. I did all dancing as well, so I'm a bit tired. So just thought I'd mention that anyway. There's about 20 people who witnessed that. Kenton's actually like, I've never seen you drink so much beer, John, you know.
Yeah, nice one. Cheers for that, John.
Yeah, just got back. Yeah, good show, mate. You've got the handle, so when you're ready, just click the switch, and then that'll be the stream ending.
Wake Up UK on Wednesday, and I'll try and have a show on Thursday, but I'm just not sure. And weekend should be interesting, so watch for any videos that I'm on over the weekend. Should be very interesting. So yeah, but good evening all, and stay of the empire. Oh, honestly, we're at that precipice now where we can either get back off it, or when we start on the downslide for like everything going, it's going to be fast and furious. Honestly, it's not going to be 50 years, it'll do it in 10 years. So all statues will be going down. They'll all be I think councils are already making up lists of statues and plaques and stuff like that to do with people who the lefties don't like. So it's coming.
Yeah, this is again why I've said it all along. We need locally organised groups of activists getting together so that they can do things more regularly. So yeah, if people are up for it, get together with people. This is a perfect opportunity. Now you've got these statues that are being attacked and defended. Get out there, get networking, and build communities around this.
Yeah, and if Churchill's statue would be removed, that would be such a necessarily evil. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would rile up so many people.
Yeah, but also the media would help them forget about it after a while, and it become yesterday's news at one point. So, that's why we need to defend these statues. Get out there, get defending these statues. Show people that because we don't want people to believe that. You don't want the next generation to believe that it was acceptable to do this. We need to fight back and stand our ground and protect these statues as regularly as we can. Now's the time to get organized and
well, I would challenge that, because Tommy should have made a demonstration after the statue was removed.
No, I think, like I say, we've got to defend them. We can't let that happen. We've got to stand our ground. I'll be, whenever I know there's something, if I hear anything going on, I'll trying to get down London, mostly in Manchester, and people need to do the same.
Okay, so first of all, your biggest problem is not a statue. Who cares about a statue? It's about respect for the statue, right? What are you going to teach the children in the school?
Exactly.
So the biggest problem, do you know that what your biggest problem is in your country? Same in every nation. What's the biggest problem?
The opinions differ.
No, it's demographic shifts.
Well, I'll agree with
That's
that.
the biggest problem.
Yeah.
So if you can, you should, Antifa, thank you, Black Lives Matter, for destroying a statue like Churchill, which will rile up the whole country, because at least you want this clash to happen now instead of in 40 years, because the demographic shifts is not on your side. Do you understand?
Yeah. So
Tommy Robinson is
we'd rather
finish?
stuff like this happen than be boiled slowly.
Can I just finish? Tommy Robinson, he was acting emotion. He should just have waited until they destroyed the statue. So he needs. So
I get your point that we need to, people. A lot of people are going to be annoyed by what's happening as well, and the statue didn't get down. So I think we're all good. But yeah.
Well, annoyance is not bad if you can direct it as, if you can frame it as they're taking down your culture, right?
Yeah, that's what you point where you're right about.
No, he was too early. He should have waited. Like 2 weeks. That's in my opinion. But that's just, yeah. Sorry.
Fair enough.
Right, guys.
Cheers,
thank
Simon.
you, man. Thank you very much. Thank you, chat. Thanks, mods and all that lot. Hope everything's all right. Thank you very much for coming on, Brett, Mank, Dave, and everyone as well. Thank you. And Jim, of course. Jim come nip round. I just worried, man, that we're on that downward slide now, and it could go really fast. And in the next few years, things will be like restricted, and you just won't be seeing them again, and it's scary. So, and I mean, it's already happened in London. A lot of like things have been changed in London. They took less. They did stuff to the posters and banners and all that. Stopped doing this, that, and the other. So, but again, thank you very much and good evening, everyone. Thank you.